did you attend Shepparton High School?
Why are you laughing?
Just keep recording. Keep recording. We'll edit it out.
The reason why I didn't, the reason why I did is because I knew who I was then. I knew that coming to Shep High, I'd be more suited to what kind of person I was. Like, I didn't like the idea of going to Notre Dame or anything now. And as well as my mum went to this school, so I kind of had that history. So it was a lot easier for Shep High to be the first choice.
I'm sorry. Do you want someone else want to go here?
Okay. So, why did you choose to come to Shepparton High School?
Why did I choose again? Because I found it comfortable.
Okay, comfortable.
Yeah.
What subjects do you do in Year 12?
Yeah, well, it was biology, English, mathematics, math general advance, and then visual arts. I was doing chemistry in Year 11, but then I decided to change it to visual arts.
And was that VCE or VCAL?
BCE.
Was there a specific career path you wanted?
I wanted to be a physiotherapist, hence why I did the biology and the chemistry, and then kind of decided to change that whole concept when I did my deployment in sport and rec at TAFE, and we did a section in that where we have to pretty much tailor a sporting program to a client which was school kids, and then I had the whole pretty much taste of becoming a teacher more or less, and that's when that drive came from that. And the other passion is art, and so marrying the two there, becoming a visual arts teacher, well, I thought that'd be a great dream job.
How's Shep High changed since you were here?
It's changed, yeah, it's changed a bit. It's still the same. Still the same aura, still the same, it still feels like home, more or less. Yeah. Still got the same rosemary bushes out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you fit in with all your friends at school?
No.
Why is that?
I was a floater, so I loved going to the library, playing games, playing chess, and then I loved going out to the Oval, playing, I think we play like British Bulldogs, and I don't think you're allowed to play that anymore. But back then we did, I think we stuffed it up for all years, but soccer as well, a lot of sporting programs I did, I loved. Also, like, my friends were kind of like, there was a high, middle, and then the low. Then you got the weirdos. I did the whole thing. So I don't know where I fit at that point in time. I knew most of my friends were in the middle, more or less. But I found being a floater was just more at peace. And a lot of people will see that as being alone or kind of like disconnected from everyone else. But to me, I just felt comfortable. And I was comfortable with what I was doing and where I was staying and who I was talking to, so I didn't really mind, regardless where you sat in school.
Was there anyone who had a big impact on your life, like growing up?
Well, inside school, it was all the teachers. Now, all the teachers, they do bring out a certain aspect of yourself, your potential, and that's the whole idea. The goal of a teacher is to bring out potential in the students. And so all my teachers pretty much bring that out, even the ones I hated. And but the two most ones was probably Miss McDay and then Mr. Plafford. But outside high school, or outside school in general, Mum and Dad, probably another influence. It also, a lot of people always go on about the people you surround yourself in, that i.e. your friends, your cousins, your family, people you associate with outside school, they do become an impact on your life. But that all comes down to what kind of person you are. If you have a strong moral about who you are, then whatever those people say, you either let that information come in or you won't let that information come in. Some people who do not have a strong moral or unsure or don't know where they're going, or kind of lost, any advice they get, they'll take on board and they'll think this is the bee's knees, this is what needs to be done. So you have you have a more understanding in how you develop learning wise when you go through the 3 stages. The first stage is where anything you get told, you'll believe. The second stage of learning is when you start developing your own knowledge, and then you start to either take it on board or not. And then the third stage is an expert stage in which you take on the knowledge, but then you debate about it. And you debate not against your peers, but against the experts. So that's the 3 levels of knowledge. So at this stage, the biggest influence, yes, to me, was the people outside, but my level of thinking was in that second stage, where I took on board what they said, but didn't exactly mean I followed it. It's important to know that.
As you mentioned before, you were house captain here. What advice would you give us, to take on that role and show the leadership towards it?
So, first and foremost, be yourself. You should never ever be someone you're not, because it's impossible. The second is respect. Not only the people you associate with at that level of leadership, but also the students and the people in which you're leading. It's very important to respect those people in which you're leading. If you do not respect those people that you're leading, they will not follow you. And keep in mind too, it's important to know that you are at that level of a leader. You're essentially a role model. So whatever you do, whatever you say, reflects who you are. And those people in which look up to you, they'll start thinking whether or not, are we allowed to do that? That's the question that comes in their head. So as a leader, my advice is always respect, first of all, foremost, yourself and the people you lead. Watch yourself and what you do. And keep in mind you are a leader. And a leader has to be prepared to step up.
So why did you pick Indigenous art out of any other type of art?
Well, good question. So, as you guys know, I'm an artist. I have been a professional artist for the same 9 years. The thing about an artist is the fact that they're unsure what category they fall into. So, say if you're a photographer, you know that photographer. And then you have those jobs where you can be a wedding photographer, take these family photos, that kind of chance. But say a painter or a sculptor, so you got to develop your own concept, develop your own style. It has to be unique. It has to be something that has come from you. For me, being an Indigenous person, falling into the Indigenous art is where I felt at home. Now, I'm considered as an Indigenous artist, but I'm also considered as a visual artist. So I can fall in both categories. My main style is, yes, Indigenous art, and that's where I put myself in. It doesn't mean that's where people label me at, it's the fact that I label myself that.
What did Shepparton High School give you?
So Shepparton High School gave me confidence. Confidence to step forward and don't be afraid to. And that's through your teachings, that's through your studies. I have this whole concept that everyone needs to experience some kind of hardship in their life. Whether that hardship be minor or major, doesn't matter. As long as it's something that's difficult, an object, a hurdle in which you need to go over. Because, say a hurdle, we say year 12. That is a major hurdle, especially the students. And to get over that stage, you start to develop not only what you can and what you can't do, and start to understand that, but you also understand the mistakes you do make and how to overcome them. If you do not experience hardships in life, when something does happen major, sometimes you don't know what to do because you don't know what your weaknesses are, you don't know what your strengths are, you don't know how to tackle this thing head on. Hence why it's always important to experience those hardships while you're growing up as a student.
Do you have any hopes for the future? Anything that you hope you'll do?
Look, I hope to pursue my whole PhD. I want to become an Indigenous educator to not only educate students inside schools, but also teachers. So, because I noticed there is a lack of knowledge, cultural knowledge in the classroom between not only the students but also the teacher, majorly the teachers. So working as a professional artist, I've get called in to go into these schools and run a class in cultural studies. Partly because the teacher either feels uncomfortable in projecting that, or feel like that they're not allowed to or not supposed to. They're not on top of that, the lack of knowledge. It's like they're unsure what they're saying is true or wrong. So having me in there gives them that comfortability, has to say I can execute this. So being an Indigenous educator would be great. That's my main aim. I know it'll take a long time, but as I said, we have a very long time to live, so why not?
Thank you very much, Troy, for giving up your afternoon today. We really appreciate it for the Year 10 students and their Beacon Charter Signing Pledge Day, and we wish you all the very best for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.